Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hello Lee Summit, I'm Jordan. Here's your flash briefing for the week of August 11th. City Council will meet for a regular session Tuesday night at 6 in Council Chambers in City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. The city is seeking public input regarding contracted residential curbside solid waste services. The meetings will be held in an open house style format in each council district. Feel free to attend the one that works best for you. Public comments can also be submitted online through August 15th at 5 p.m. Learn more at cityofls.net. The grand opening of Green Street is this weekend, August 15th through 17th. Everyone is invited to celebrate the ribbon cutting and opening of this bold, vibrant gathering space. Green Street will be home to the indoor farmers market, live music, local art, open air performances, and extraordinary events in a dynamic indoor-outdoor setting. Grand opening weekend will be packed with live entertainment, food trucks, kids activities, live music, the Saturday farmers market, and more. You don't want to miss this. Come be a part of it. If you would like a front row seat to the grand opening of Green Street, we are on the lookout for volunteers. Be a part of opening weekend magic. Learn more and sign up at greenstreetls.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Officers en route, 914, armed robbery.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, or no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those, and it goes through. It's got a very small but sharp needle, that goes through and cuts everything out, letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. We've come up to perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple. Quick.
Lee Summit has lots of local destinations, but where do you start? Green Street, a vibrant community space in the heart of downtown, is where Lee Summit comes together. Its 3 dynamic areas have something for everyone. Green Street Market is a modern event venue and home to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market. Green Street Lawn is a covered performance space hosting live music, family activities, and more. Green Street Grove is a mixture of gathering spaces, an immersive playground, and bold architectural features. And all 3 areas host community events year-round. So the next time you set out to enjoy the city you love, remember, meet at Green Street.
It's extremely rewarding overall. Just the fact of working with other council people and other volunteer commission members that are so involved and care so much about making this community better. It sort of kind of lifts your own spirits by being involved in that kind of environment with other people like that. For many years, I was a typical resident, raising a family, going to work, in many cases leaving the city for employment, and went through a leadership class through the chamber, learned a lot about our city and learned about all the great amenities and resources we have, and was asked if I was interested in volunteering on a commission. I said yes, and kind of the rest is history. I've just completed my 3rd year on city council, and so looking forward to finishing strong with this first term, and look forward to continuing to serve this community. My thing is that there's so many talented people in this community that believe in so many different initiatives, and for me, one of the big reasons why I decided to run was that as a residential taxpayer, I felt that we can always increase the business tax base of our community, and that's kind of been a big part of my involvement on city council, is to encourage and promote and make it easier for development to occur, commercial development to occur in our community, to increase that tax base and diversify that tax base. And so I think we've made significant strides the last few years. We've had a collective great group of council members and mayor where we've really truly accomplished a lot of things that there were somewhat kind of stumbling blocks for previous councils. Working new contracts with our union personnel, firefighters and police was a big accomplishment for us. The fact that we were able to push along some initiatives like the downtown renovation for a market, a farmer's market, It's been a great experience to be part of those meetings, to help nudge it, and to the point where we have a developer involved is just a great feeling to have been part of that. And others, I mean, I think our park system, we've continued to support our park system to add a new community center, for example, that we negotiated with the Metropolitan Community Colleges. So I'm proud of all those things and just being able to help make a difference in many aspects. I love definitely spending time with my family. We have 3 daughters and they're all fairly active, in some in sports and other extracurricular activities. But for me, I love being outdoors. I love the trails, I love riding my bike, and I love playing golf. And we have awesome amenities and options within our community to have that kind of a lifestyle. This June will be 25 years that my wife and I have lived in Lee Summit and have raised 3 daughters in this community. I know this city has incredible, talented residents that come from all different walks of life, very diverse group of families in our community that it's so rewarding to be involved on a government level or some kind of civic commission or committee that in many cases you get out of it more than you put in. And I truly live by that and I believe that.
All right, call to order the Community Economic Development Committee meeting for Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. Can we get a roll call, please?
Chair Hodges.
Here.
Vice Chair Carlisle. Councilmember Pryor.
Here.
Councilmember Funk.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Trafton.
Here.
Thank you. And can I get an approval of the agenda?
Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Councilmember Funk.
Aye.
Chair Hodges.
Aye. All right, and I don't see any public comment. So we will move on to business. Let's see, item 5A. Can I get an approval of the action letter?
Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve the July 9th, 2025 Community and Economic Development Committee Action Letter.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Funk,
Aye.
Chair Hodges,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to item 5B, TMP-3392, an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Peddlers and Solicitors, Article 2, Identification Card, Section 20 to 29, Investigation of Applicants in Section 29 to 31, Issuance Grounds for Denial of the Code of Ordinances for this of the City of Lee Summit, Missouri. We have, who's presenting? It says Major Walters. Oh. And she's not here. Okay. Should we wait on that one?
Yeah, can we do some agenda?
Yeah, so so agenda management, should we move it to the end?
You want to
Or
swap B and C and maybe
Give her, yeah, we'll just swap B and C. So do I need to do anything else for that, or just say we're swapping the order for now?
Yeah, I think it's fine. As the chair, you can move agenda items around
Okay.
based on people not being here. Maybe move it down, and if she appears,
Then
she's
we'll just
ready to go.
proceed.
Otherwise, keep bumping it down.
Okay.
See if she arrives. I think
Perfect.
that-
All right.
That would work.
Thank you. So then we will move on to item 5C, TMP-3394, an ordinance enacting a new section 17 to 119, panhandling and aggressive panhandling to the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri. We have Mr. Rucker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Major, you snooze, you lose. You got back to the end of the agenda. This is an ordinance to regulate panhandling behavior in the city. If you noticed when you read your packet, there's 2 pages of predicate lawyer stuff before it. That's the way we talk to the court about what we do, why we do, and show that you've made a reasoned and considered decision in how we get to the point we're going to do this. We've divided panhandling into 2 sections, aggressive panhandling and then just panhandling. Aggressive panhandling we have barred citywide. That's the coming after somebody multiple times. Panhandling we've actually barred in only 2 specific clear places, in public parks and in what we call the downtown core. And I got to thank Shannon for turning me on to and letting me understand what the downtown core is. The City of Lee Summit has consciously sought to protect its downtown core area, which is Exhibit A at the back of the ordinance, since at least 2008. Okay, it's made a conscious effort that this particular part of downtown, which consists of just a few extra blocks around what you think of off the top of your head as downtown, what I thought of off the top of my head as downtown, has been a subject of specific city intention for let's get at least 17 years, and probably longer than that. In that area, we're going to ban panhandling, period. You should be able to go to the parks and not be bothered. You should be able to be in the downtown we're trying to preserve, protect, and watch grow, and in Green Street Market without being bothered. So that's where we have the 2 sections. This certainly doesn't address every time someone gets offended by saying, oh, gee whiz, I had to get asked for money. But remember, if somebody says to you on your way into Quick Trip, hey, have you got $5 for me? And you say no, they're done, okay? They don't get to say that the second time, period. So there's a lot of lawyering in this. Basically, it's designed for judges to read at their leisure in the hopes that Abby Pinnell never winds up in front of the Court of Appeals on these kind of cases, but it will give our police officers some way to address this kind of behavior. So we recommend first reading approval, unless it looks like some of you may have questions.
Boundaries.
Oh, okay. Well, Shannon's the expert on that one. No, he slipped away. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, that's 3rd and Douglas. Mm-hmm. 3rd and Douglas is right here.
to apologize. I didn't hear if there was a question associated
No,
with that.
no,
or you
we were just wanting to, we were looking at the map here, but this is
Okay.
helpful to look at. Did you guys have any questions, Terry? No questions? Okay, yeah, we don't have any questions right now, sorry.
Okay.
So do we need to give you a motion to move this full council?
Please.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you had more to say, so I was waiting.
I could go on for hours, but I really don't think it's going to do you any good.
You were so, explaining so much last time, I expected more, but this is great, okay. Yeah, so if there's no questions, I would look for a motion.
Chair, I move TMP 3394, an ordinance enacting a new section 17-119, panhandling and aggressive panhandling to the Code of Ordinance for the City of Lee Summit to full council.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Can I get the roll call, please?
Chair Hodges?
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor?
Aye.
Councilmember Funk?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. So we will go back to,
Chair, before we head.
Yeah.
Can we get some clarification on that motion? Was that was that a recommend for approval?
Recommend approval to full council.
All right, and can I check with our legal to make sure that that's sufficient?
He's got a thumbs up for us.
Yes. I was about to jump in, but you went right to the vote.
okay,
The assumption is that was a motion to recommend approval to the city council. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
My apologies, Mr. Bushek.
okay, so moving to item 5B, TMP-3392, an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Peddlers and Solicitors, Article 2, Identification Card, Section 20 to 29, Investigation of Applicants, and Section 29 to 31, Issuance, Grounds for Denial of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lee Summit, Missouri. Major Walters. Okay, thank you. I forgot to grab my computer.
Thank you. All right, the ordinance you have in front of you is really some change to the language due to a passing of the law, and it's going to allow us to include a full background check for applicants for soliciting and peddlers. It'll allow us to include their fingerprints, which will give us a full criminal history. That way we can locate any crimes over the last 5 years that include theft, crime against property, crime against a person, or any other conviction related to peddling or soliciting.
Any questions? No, I love this. I'm glad that we're taking another step further on this. You guys good? Okay.
Good.
All right, I would look for a motion.
Chair? I move to, oh, which one are we on?
B.
We're on B. I move to recommend to council for approval TMP-3392, an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Peddlers and Solicitors, Article 2, Identification Card, Section 20 through 29, Investigation of Applicants, and Section 29 through 31, Issuance, Grounds for Denial of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Pryor?
Aye.
Councilmember Funk?
Aye.
Chair Hodges?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item D, TMP-3395, an ordinance enacting new section 17 to 120, loitering and obstructing the reasonable movement of traffic to the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri. Mr. Rucker.
Again, Madam Chair, I mean, if you want, I can go on for hours, but I think it'd make me rather unpopular in the room. This is a specific ordinance to address what we all think of as common law loitering, the bunch of people hanging around and won't get out of the way, okay? We've split this up into 4 specific sections that Abby, your prosecutor, can prosecute on. One, just in any public place. You can't just hang around and get in the way, okay? You can just hang around in a park, but you can't hang around and get in the way of people walking down a park sidewalk to get to that particular shelter, okay? The second thing you can't do is you can't do this on a business premises open to the public, okay? And then we expanded that a little bit. The third one is a business premises open to the public without any apparent reason, because we may get some fact situations where, well, we have sort of a reason here, but we're not sure. And I wanted to preserve the prosecutor's ability to select which one of those charges they would use based on the exact set of facts the officer brings them. And then finally, a premises posted no loitering, okay, which gives you the ability to say no loitering. Your candidate for that is probably the garage, okay, where you would be within your rights to say this garage is for public parking. It's meant for ingress and egress of vehicles and people. It is not meant for hanging around and you know, practicing your dance moves on the top of the garage, as I once saw. We think this is sufficient, and we believe it's clear enough that the officers on the road will be able to use it. What we really want to do is give the manager at Walmart a tool so the people can't stand in front of his store and bother folks walking in, okay? Give the guy who's the day manager at Quick Trip a tool so when he has to call police officers because there are 4 guys who just won't leave after half an hour and they've been doing nothing, okay? But they are in fact intimidating the other people who have to walk around them and get off the sidewalk to get into the Quick Trip. That's not acceptable, okay? The application of this ordinance will depend a lot on the police officers' use of it and how they understand it and use it. It then goes to the prosecutor, who has to decide, is that a set of facts I want to present? And then it goes to the court. It's the 3 boxes of justice theory. You know, you have to get through 3 specific stages of discretion before anybody even takes $5 out of your hat for a fine. I think this is the start of this, but it does address what we consider the social harm, which is people are simply getting in the way of other people and making them uncomfortable as they're going through their lives. Yes, if you want to stand there and do something, if you in fact want to, with the permission of Quick Trip, stand there and solicit for your charity, we're totally fine with that. But you don't get 5 guys just to be able to stand around and stare at high school girls at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because it's fun for them. And this ordinance will help address that kind of behavior.
Okay. Quick question. I think you addressed this last time, but will you remind me, is there a difference between somebody posting it, like we have it in the public parking garage versus a private business? Is that handled any differently?
No,
Okay.
not in this ordinance. What you would do, though, is to post it for a public garage, we would frankly write you an ordinance that you all would adopt that would simply address that these are the specific things this garage is meant for, okay? And these are the specific things we're going to protect this garage doing, people coming and going to their cars. But frankly, your car is entitled to be protected in a public garage as well as a private one. And, you know, 5 kids playing around on skateboards on the top of that structure isn't what that structure is built for. By analogy, you have the right to control the use of any piece of real property the city of Lee Summit owns. This building isn't open to the public all the time, okay? Summit Waves isn't open to the public all the time. And in the same analogy, your parking structure can be reasonably controlled too. It's simply a matter of, is it reasonable? And I think certainly going to and from cars and protecting people walking to and from their cars is a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. You guys have any questions? Comments? Go ahead.
And I should apologize. I think the reason the first motion was loused up was I wrote it wrong. It should be moved for approval, okay? So I probably misled you down the primrose path on that one. That's on me. But anyway, we'd ask that you move for approval and advance this to the council.
Is this only for city properties, or is this for?
The no loitering could be posted by any commercial business owner who owns a property, okay? Let's assume you own a lumber yard, okay? Well, it's going to be busy at certain times and not busy at other times, and the people that own the lumber yard don't necessarily need a bunch of people hanging around there doing nothing, okay? It also goes to the point that, let's say that the lumber yard premises isn't posted, but a group of folks have just decided to hang out there, and the guys can't get their trucks in and up to pick up the lumber. Well, that's going to violate the ordinance. That gives PD a tool to address that problem.
So anyone, the reason I'm asking is I actually just got a text message that there is a homeless person at one of the Starbucks making people feel uncomfortable. And so in a situation like that, does it have to be the business, the people that work for the business that take action and call the police? Or is that something that like someone can feel uncomfortable in the parking lot and call the police and they can enforce the no loitering?
If you got one homeless person, I don't think you're going to get anywhere near loitering, because it's going to take people to require you to walk around. And the fact that one person makes other people uncomfortable, you could have a fella in the parking lot who's handing out tracts for his church. You could have a fellow in a parking lot who's soliciting for his Cubs softball team. And those behaviors. So when we talk about where the line is, it's not just uncomfortable. Okay, we have to be able to show more than that, because we have an obligation to put people on reasonable notice that their behavior is not acceptable. And I may not know I'm making you uncomfortable when I'm soliciting for Cubs softball. On the other hand, you know, there's not it's a fuzzy line. I'll admit it's a fuzzy line, and judges don't like these kind of things. And remember, I did municipal court for years. We're not a popular client municipal court. And once we get out of our municipal court and we get to Jackson County Circuit Court, no, we are not a popular client, okay? Those judges are sitting there arraigning A felonies in the morning and looking at our municipal court stuff in the afternoon. We have to have a good, solid case and reason to be there. So no, I wouldn't think that would work.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, I'd look for a motion.
Chair, I recommend approval to full council on ordinance enacting new section 17-120 loitering, obstructing the reasonable movement of traffic to the Code of Ordinance for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Hodges?
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor?
Aye.
Councilmember Funk?
Aye.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Rucker, for all of that work on that. I appreciate it. All right, we are moving on to item E, 2025-7098, World Cup 2026, Planning Discussion, Development Services, Zoning and Permitting. Mr. McGuire.
All right, good evening. Shannon McGuire, Planning Manager. All right. So my presentation kind of covers over the zoning side of the UDO requirements that we need to kind of take a look at and possibly amend for the World Cup. So we kind of took a look at that, and it really kind of falls into 6 broad categories. As you can see here, temporary signs, food trucks and food carts, fireworks, and various types of special events. So we'll kind of go through those one by one. We took a solution-based approach to how we're going to address that. We know there's projected to be up to 600,000 people coming to the KC metro area with this event. So, you know, knock on wood, we get a lot of those here. So we really want to take a kind of an eyes-open approach, proactive approach to that. So that helps us improve the allocation of our resources, mainly staffing. It really helps us, that approach helps us focus on what is our community's goals and what do we want to accomplish as Lee Summit, right? What's best for our community and our residents, stakeholders, and businesses. So diving into those codes, we'll start with temporary signs. We have an existing temporary sign ordinance. The white text here, as you can see, is just kind of the highlights. We have a lot of regulations, but these are kind of the highlights of those regulations. Currently, we allow up to 4 temporary signs or 2 banner signs. A permit is required for multifamily and commercial. Snipe signs are prohibited. We do limit the duration of temporary signs to 90 days or 5 days past an event. And those signs are not allowed in the right of way. And we do restrict heights and size of signs. So our recommendation is to leave most of that in place and really just change that max number as well as remove that permit required. Now these are a temporary change just during the duration of the World event, so not a permanent change. And And the next category would be our food trucks. Again, some highlights. We do have distance restrictions from existing brick and mortar restaurants, as well as in the CBD downtown area. We do have hours of operation restrictions. We have the restrictions that you can't cause parking shortages or traffic congestion. And currently, mobile food carts are allowed on our sidewalks and in the parking areas. So what we are recommending for some change is to remove those hours of operations in the CBD to allow for maybe some food trucks during like an early game, like there's a lunchtime game. The food trucks in the CBD area to be only permitted on private property unless associated with a city-sponsored event or an official FIFA event. And then we are asking or recommending that we prohibit food carts on sidewalks or in those public parking areas just to help with congestion and pedestrian flow. Fireworks, large fireworks displays, currently requires a special event permit. So we are recommending a moratorium on approval of large fireworks displays, except for with the caveat of city-sponsored events, official FIFA events, or those legacy type events, Raintree Lake, Lakewood subdivision type events that have been going on for years. Again, just a moment, temporary during the event. Commercial special events, again, a moratorium on commercial special events. Those large events requiring additional security, I think 1,000 people or more. Again, with the caveat of city sponsored events or FIFA events. Not that I have any plans or know of any currently, but it just kind of gives us that opportunity if something does arise. Entertainment special events, again, those do require a special event permit, same as the two previous recommendations, just a temporary moratorium on those large events, except for with the caveat as well for the city FIFA or the legacy events like Downtown Days.
Okay, can I stop you there?
Yep.
We have a few questions, sorry. On this point real fast, so I know that we were questioning like the neighborhoods, I think it was Raintree and their parade that they do and stuff. So did we decide what we were gonna allow on that for them?
So the parade permits are actually in a different section. They're
Okay.
not under the UDO. Those fall under the traffic section of the PD.
Okay.
So that this recommendation doesn't cover those.
Okay. And then go ahead. I know you had one. We have a couple questions.
So I just wanted a little bit more clarification on, are we allowing fireworks for Raintree and Lakewood, or are we not during that time period?
We would allow the historic ones, yes, so the Raintree and Lakewood.
The ones that are kind of grandfathered in or whatever?
That would be the
Okay.
caveat of either the legacy events or the city or FIFA events. So
Okay.
it's that carve out for those
I think that'll make
specific.
a lot of people that live there a lot happy, but, okay, so they are allowed to continue on like July 4th or whatever day they do them, that's still, okay,
Correct.
perfect, all right, thank you.
All right, Chair Funk.
Shannon, I'm going to kick you all the way back to the beginning on the signs.
Yep.
I don't know, do we want to pop through, start at the beginning and just?
Okay.
Yeah. On the signs, what's the justification for removing the max number of signs?
To give the business community the max opportunity to capitalize on the event, I do believe that we are going to get a lot of them out there, and just also a staffing thing. So this is just one small portion that we're going to have to respond to. So it allows us to allocate resources to everything that's going to happen.
I'm very blessed to be sitting here with my ex-planning commissioner who loves signs, and I don't know if we really need to, I mean, I think we leave it at 4 temporary signs and 2 banners. I mean, that would just be my opinion. I just think we don't want to get crazy and just have signs and banners everywhere. I think it'll look trashy for people coming to our city.
But I think, I understand that you don't want to allocate staff to worrying about this when there's going to be more bigger things to worry about, correct? Is that kind of?
Yeah. Good evening, Amy Nassif, Deputy Director. That's exactly right. So Shannon was spot on, but it really is a conversation for you all of it gets down to, where do you want our resources to go to? Do you want us worrying about and, chasing down, hey, you had 5 signs or you had 6 signs? Is that something that's going to be important to you all? If it is, that number, it can certainly stay. But we were looking at it from an aspect of where might we best serve the community during this time? And maybe that might be in other areas. And it might be harder for us also to know and keep track of if someone had 4 signs or not, or did they actually end up having 5 because one's just down in another area of town. But that's just why we're bringing forward for discussion.
So maybe this is something we don't advertise, we just change and don't advertise that you could have more. And then somebody calls and complains, we say, actually, it's allowed right now during this time period.
What do you know? Yes.
What's the moratorium date?
It's going to be June 1st to July 31st.
Okay.
July 31st. Jerry, did you have any questions?
I did have a couple questions.
Okay, we've got more questions. Go ahead.
Mine was related to the food truck item. So what you're suggesting is that we aren't going to allow, just no carts on sidewalks or public areas. But what about, I know there was a conversation around food trucks only permitted on private property unless associated with city. So I know part of the discussion was around allowing them on, a lot of neighborhoods use food trucks in that time frame for events in their neighborhoods, especially around special events that they're hosting. And they do bring in food trucks that sit on the city streets. And so are we saying that we're going to not permit those to happen in June and July? Is that what we're recommending?
So this would not change that. This is just saying that food carts not allowed on sidewalks or public parking areas. So they would still be allowed to do what they can do now. We're not recommending change that for those internal small events, like the neighborhood party or whatever. So
I'm sorry, I missed the CBD area. So in the rest of the city, we would allow.
We would continue as is.
Okay, thank you, sir. My other question was related to moving forward to fireworks. And just to clarify, individual fireworks are still going to be allowed throughout the community, correct? Because I know that's a concern.
No, so this does not change the firework ordinance, which only gives a very specific time frame. So you could only fire them off around that 4th of July time, just as they are today. So we're not recommending expansion of that for personal use.
Okay, great. Thank you. And my other question related to fireworks is, now I know there are neighborhoods that don't have formally organized, like Raintree and Lakewood, where they get permits for those displays that they're doing in those neighborhoods that come together. Will those be prohibited, like where neighbors come together and shoot off fireworks together?
So those wouldn't, if they're just a cul-de-sac coming together as neighbors during the allotted time frame that they're allowed to shoot, that this would not require a special event permit, so it would not fall under this.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
All right, so moving on to athletic special events. So again, similar to the other ones before, just a moratorium on the 5K type events.
Sorry.
So that, again, goes back to a staffing resource issue. Temporary moratorium during the event, unless city-sponsored or official FIFA event. Not that any of you have come forward yet, just allowing us that opportunity if it does. That was a cold day, just so you know.
I was looking for Ryan Elam back there somewhere. I didn't see him.
He's way back there.
He was sitting on the curb.
So, and that's all I have for you today. If you have any other questions, more than happy to address them.
No.
No, that was great. Thank you for bringing that back to us.
Thank you.
So Chair, if I could just, a few things about process moving forward with these. You'll notice in your packet there is a draft ordinance. This is a UDO amendment, which is why it's kind of separate from the things like the parades. And the UDO does have a prescribed process where it requires public hearings in front of the Planning Commission and the City Council. Even with this temporary ordinance, we're going to be following that path, given the recommendation from the committee, and go to Planning Commission and City Council for it to be fully approved. And then just for clarification on the fireworks, for the individual fireworks, this doesn't change anything related to the individual fireworks, so the 3-day window would still apply based off of this. So I just wanted to make sure that there was no misunderstanding from the public that they're thinking that, from June 1st to July 31st, individuals can shoot off fireworks. That's not the intent.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so you're saying eventually, maybe even next meeting, we're going to have these items to approve and move on to City Council then? Is that what you were saying?
Yes. So actually, we believe that, if you give the direction now, these items, if you give the direction, we'll take it to Planning Commission for public hearing and then to City Council after that, unless the committee would like to see any changes to this ordinance and brought back one more time for these specific items. The remaining items from our conversation last month will be coming back next month with ordinance adjustments to that. And those remaining items don't have to go through the Planning Commission process.
Okay.
Because they're in different parts of our code.
Do you guys see any problem with moving it on? You good? Yeah, I think we would like to see it moved on.
Do you need a formal motion and a vote, or do you just need?
Direction.
Either a vote, or you can act by general consent, meaning the chair can ask, is there general consensus to move this forward? Which it sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd say we have consensus to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, item F, 2025-7097, World Cup 2026 Planning Discussion, Development Services, Short-Term Rentals. Ms. Nassif.
Saving the best one, right? And it'll be just as quick as the other ones. Amy Nassif, Deputy Director of Development, happy to be here tonight to talk about short-term rentals and discussion around that and what our hopes and dreams and desires should be about making any changes to our ordinance during that World Cup time. So here's some things we know that Shannon did touch on a little bit too. Estimate is 650,000 visitors. It could be a little bit less. It could be a little bit more. As of June, right now there's only 65,000 hotel rooms in the Kansas City region and beyond. There are discussions right now with many of the folks working on the FIFA 26, even as far as Columbia and St. Louis, to try to get people have adequate supply of housing. And in Lee Summit right now we have approximately 620 rooms available. So we know there's going to be a need. Airbnb and FIFA, we also know, have already announced a national international partnership promoting everyone utilizing short-term rentals. What? Is this for the whole class? I'm just kidding. So I'm just teasing. So anyway, do you want me to stop or go back?
No.
Okay. So Airbnb and FIFA did announce. It happened to me a lot from teachers, so I feel like now I can hear it back. So Airbnb and FIFA have announced this major partnership, and so we know people are going to be staying in short-term rentals in Lee Summit and in the area. So we want to talk a little bit about those pros and cons to possibly relaxing temporarily some of those regulations and some reasons why. So short-term rentals, our overview right now, our ordinance was enacted just a few years ago in 2018. We have approximately 20 business licenses active for short-term rentals. If you do look at the websites, it's a little misconceiving. If you go to the website and type in Lee Summit, it says there's over 1,000. But when you drill down and actually the map of the area of Lee Summit, it looks like there's around 35 or 40. but we do have about 20 active licenses. And the great thing with those licenses, we do have a small fee that we collect, but we also allows us to get verification and collect some data. We get contact information from the property owner, the homeowner, and we also require that they confirm that they've read our ordinance requirements and regulations, and they get a copy of those too. So right now, just a quick overview, those short-term rentals are allowed on properties 1 acre size or more if you're a single family or 2 family, or if you are located in downtown. They're not allowed in the ADUs, of something we recently updated. You can rent just 2-room maximum, and then we have some life safety issues in there as well. But that's just a general overview for you. So other cities have been talking about what they're going to do with these STRs for some time now. And so we just wanted to give you a list of just the general area of what folks are doing. Parkville just recently updated their ordinance where they were having a limit or a maximum on the number of STRs per ward. They removed that temporarily for the World Cup. Their process is also administrative like ours, and they have that the owner can live off-site. Belton is working to remove their short-term rental ban. Grandview's just recently adopted just in May. And then Independence is working with a group to amend theirs as well. Kansas City, Missouri has 2 different kinds of short-term rental licensings now. Depends on whether or not you live in the home. And then Blue Springs is kind of waiting and see a little bit. They don't have any regulations right now at all and are waiting to see what some others do. They asked us what we were doing before they decide to make some changes. So here's some pro and cons. If we do nothing, we have existing requirements in place. Everybody knows what those rules are. They're pretty crystal clear. But here's the cons. We have a huge shortfall of housing in the area, and that's a huge potential loss of revenue. If we have visitors staying in Lee Summit, they're going to spend more money in Lee Summit. They're going to visit our stores, our shops, and our restaurants. And it's also a loss of revenue for homeowners. There are some information out there that homeowners can make up to $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 per stay. So there's a loss there for the homeowners. Also, we know they're going to happen. And so getting out in front of it before it occurs would be a benefit also for us. Because if we do nothing, one of the cons also is we won't get license information and we'll have limited enforcement resources. So it again goes to where do you want to allocate those resources. It also will open up more windows for housing. So if we do update the temporary modifications, just for a short term, just for that June 1st to July 31st time period, it will address that need for folks in the metro and for tourists beyond the metro area. It has a potential revenue opportunity. There's a small revenue opportunity for city as well with the license fee that we collect. Also allows us tracking. If we do not open up our regulations and people are just doing these illegally, then we don't get the tracking information that we would get through obtaining that business license. But we do understand there's cons. If we temporarily lift our regulations or just modify them slightly, we do know there could be an increase in noise and parking and some other concerns for residents. And we do know we're going to have to do some enforcement at the end of it as well. So what we were thinking about and looking at in terms of temporarily relaxing was just these areas A through D. We do not feel it's appropriate to relax the requirement for a license, the requirement to pay the taxes, or any of the life safety issues. So it's really these areas A through D above. So the first kind of set is where they're allowed. Right now, again, 1 acre in size, or if you're in downtown, and also limited to that single family or 2-family, like a duplex dwelling unit. We would recommend that could be an area that we could just temporarily lift that requirement on. The other areas are that the owner or local representative must occupy the dwelling. There's a lot of discussion and conversations right now where homeowners want to actually leave town and then rent out their homes themselves and then come back when it's done. So looking at that as well. And again, and I kind of failed to mention, the other thing with this is that if we do temporarily lift some of our regulations, we also know that life's going to get back to normal at the end, because the homeowners who are renting out their properties for short-term rentals don't want to do that on a regular basis, or they'd already be doing it. In addition, the national and international draw that's coming here will be gone. So a lot of that is that market, demand driven too. And then the 2 rooms and at the maximum of 4 unrelated guests. Those are just the kind of the 4 areas that we could discuss with you on if there's opportunity that you'd want us to look into relaxing or not. So again, those are our recommendations, and it's just from June 1st to July 31st. We definitely would have our neighborhood services team working after the event is over to ensure the short-term rental cease operations post-tournament. And this also is an important part too, it does not change any HOA indentures. Just like anything in life, the city can enact some rules and regulations, and subdivision indentures are a separate private covenant, private agreement with those residents. So an HOA can still, within their purview, go ahead, they could have a ban. They could certainly still do that. And that this would not impact that at all. And then we would provide some public outreach and education to make sure everybody would know whatever new rules would be in place if you all decided to have some new rules. And I think that's it.
Questions?
So we had a great, sorry, you want to go first? We had a great presentation from Chief Forbes of how taxed they're going to be for this. So we have Mr. Elam, Mr. Bushag, Major Walters back there. Let's say we relax this. Somebody puts one in a very nice neighborhood that's allowed to do it, and they bring in a family of 11. What do we do? Let's start with that one. What are we going to do?
So like
What
anything.
if the neighbors say they're, sorry.
Oh, go
What
ahead.
if the neighbors say they're partying all night and that neighbor is calling 911 every 15 minutes? What are we going to do?
So we would handle it like we would in any other situation with a short-term rental. So first, if someone is having a party overnight, call the police and they go out and respond. And then the next day, or if there is a complaint during the day hours about the short-term rental not following the rules because they're renting out to 11 people, or they're parking all over the place, or any other kind of, issues or concerns, we have our neighborhood services team, which is a team of 4. And which is what we have right now. And so they would go out and investigate and make contact and then tell them to cease. We have our standard, you need to stop doing this. Typically it's a 10 days to, if someone's living there or if someone's staying there and they shouldn't be because they don't have a business license or they can't get one, we tell them they have to cease. They have 10 days to cease. And if they don't, then they get they're issued the citation or the letter to go to court. And that would be what our rule
Then they go
is.
back to Honduras and we never collect anything and we've taxed the hell out of our police department and our neighborhood services doing this. So I know what my opinion is on this very quickly because I just think it's going to be a mess for the city. I just don't think there's no way our public services are going to be able to keep up with it. Neighborhood services have got 4 people. Let's say you do 400 of these and you have 200 of them that are having parties all night long. They're going around the clock. They're up all night because these games are going to go on all night. Neighborhood services goes home at 4, 5 o'clock. So this is all on our PD dealing with this stuff all night long, and they're going to have plenty of other things to deal with if this happens to fruition of what we're talking about. I'm simply voicing my opinion. I think you've done an excellent job of coming up with ideas, but I think the idea of relaxing it and letting it go outside of the areas that we've done is no.
Yeah, and can I ask one question, do you mind?
Sure.
So, and just to clarify too, for me, so it sounds like, so the concern for you is that same of ours, is that resources being taxed?
We absolutely do not have the resources to keep up with this. And we have to think about the people who live here, reside here, and pay their taxes all year round that don't want this next door to them.
Sure.
And I understand there's definitely a revenue stream here for somebody to have a win on. I just think we have to think about, not only are you going to get the phone calls, the PD's going to get the phone calls, but these council folks up here are going to get a lot of phone calls.
Yeah. And I totally understand that too. And I think it's an interesting topic because you're 100% right. That could happen if we relax our regulations. On the flip side too, if we don't relax our regulations, we could even get more. because we're probably, if there is the potential that people are doing so many illegally. So it's a difficult conversation. It definitely has both sides going.
I mean, it does sound like it's a lose-lose I mean, these people are going to...
They're coming.
They're welcome to our country. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome for our community. But they're going to leave and go back to wherever they came from, and we're going to lose money. That's what's going to happen. We're going to lose money because if they're going to have to give them 10 days, they may be gone in 9. But you've ruined the person that lives next door to them that had to put up with this because we can't do anything about it. So I think my personal opinion, I think we leave them the way they are, and we're going to have to rely on neighborhood services and our police department to get the ones that aren't doing it correctly.
To that point, let me follow. Is it handled any differently if we relaxed the rules and somebody was doing it and they were partying or whatever versus it's not allowed and you're doing it? Do they
No.
still get that same 10 days?
It's the same
Oh.
10 days. It's the same. It's the same requirements.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Pear.
So I stay in short-term rentals every time I travel, so I can't say that I dislike short-term rentals, but I definitely know what type of crime that they bring. But I'm not completely, I think I am leaning towards possibly relaxing them for this. I guess my only concern is, well, I mean, right now I've gotten several complaints of a pool recently, but also current short-term rentals that people are staying in, and it takes forever to get anything done about it. So, I don't know. I think I'd lean more on the side of relaxing them. Maybe not to the extent that you guys have outlined here, but, okay, so whatever we decide, is it gonna go to full council for discussion at all, or are we just fully deciding?
So the committee can make a recommendation to go to council. This is a UDO amendment as well. So any changes for this would require the public hearings in front of the Planning Commission and the City Council as well, because these are in our UDO. But we can have a full conversation here, and there can be a recommendation from this body. This committee can also decide that before it goes to Planning Commission, they want to recommend a council conversation with the council as a whole. That's also something that can be done, but there still is the Planning Commission and City Council public hearings.
Okay, thank you. I do like I think it was Buckner that did you have to live 30 or 45 minutes away. They relaxed to 45 minutes. I do like that. I remember in Surprise, Arizona, when there was something there. Was it a Super Bowl or someplace in Arizona? There was something there. And they talked about all the big companies for that one event. They came in and they bought a ton of houses, all of the houses that were listed, because they can afford it, and they were renting them all out. And then they all put them up for sale after the event, and then there was a ton of houses on the market. Some of them did, some of them just didn't take care of them. I just remember it being all over the news. So I don't want that to happen here. So if we could possibly, if we go this direction, put something in there that they must live, like have a physical address within 30 minutes. Would that help keep some of the big companies from doing something like that? Or
even just leave item B alone and still require that the owner must occupy the dwelling.
So by occupy the dwelling, does that mean the owner has to stay there the whole time, or the owner just has to own it?
Occupy. So they have to stay there or stay on the adjacent parcel right next door.
Okay, I guess I don't know what everyone else thinks about that, or what do you guys think about that? Is that?
You know what? We were just taking it from the standpoint, it's kind of like the signs. It's like the temporary sign discussion. It's where would you like us to focus our attention, you know? And so and we know, just like with signs, there are going to be signs up. We know people are going to be staying in short-term rentals. Mm-hmm. So how much of those, what is the most specific areas or most concerning areas that you would like us to still stay on top of, just knowing these, things would be happening, kind of a thing. But again, the benefit to us too is getting that license from them. It gives us the contact information. We don't have contact information for homeowners right now, just, unless we just go knock on the door.
Yeah, I think the license is really important
That could
because
help with enforcement and going back
Yeah.
and getting quicker. But again, and like Mr. Elam said too, it could be just part of these or one of these things that you all want to even still just have continued conversation about with council before we go to planning commission too.
So what would be, sorry, Chair, what would be, so say we don't relax it. I mean, in my opinion, in my mind, and I think relaxing it or not relaxing it, people are going to do it anyway. They already got plans to do it. So a homeowner does it, and we have to go through the process of, you got 10 days to do this. What's the punishment to the homeowner?
And I'll turn over to Mr. Elam, but it's up to when we take it to our municipal court. I mean, they do get the citation to go to municipal court, and then they have to speak to the judge, and it's up to them at that time, unless I'm speaking out of turn, but that's typically what that is.
Can we write in, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Can we write into the ordinance that if you're an owner and you do this and there's a problem, there's $1 million fine?
So that's a legal question, but I know that we are limited in our ability to assess fines through state statute. I don't recall off the top of my head what those limits are. Mr. Bushek may know. I don't know if Mr. Rucker's behind me or not.
Usually
Still. It's like $500.
Yeah, $500 max, I think, is what Missouri state statute has in it.
Municipal ordinance violations are pretty limited. Now, there are things in there about number of days that can add up on there, but that also is a question really for the court system. So it could be up to $500 each day that a violation exists, something along those lines.
I mean, I just feel like it's going to happen either way, and I feel like we would have stronger grounds if we didn't relax the ordinance, and I'm just pulling a rabbit out of my hat here. If somebody in Winterset does this and it creates a mess with both of their neighbors, I mean, I understand we have 600 and some thousand people here. No, they're absolutely not all coming to Lee Summit. We all need to get that through our head. They're not coming here, not all 650,000 of them, but we are going to have a lot of visitors. I feel like we have to think about the people that live here, that have supported this beautiful project out there. We have to think about them just as much as we have to think about who's coming to our community and being open to them. I think we have a better leg to stand on. If we don't change any of this and somebody does it, they're doing it wrong. They're in trouble. I also feel like city services are going to be so impacted with traffic, with parking issues, with all of the other little things that are going to go on and happen throughout this, that this is another thing I put right in the category of signs. Let's not change it. Let's just leave it and deal with it. That's my opinion. If we feel like it needs to go to full council for a discussion, or if we want to put our consensus together, do we want to stop talking about this?
Terry, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do. But I was waiting for there to be a break in the action. So now that all eyes are on me, yeah, one of my questions was, like, pointing back to your cons list, which I think is where Councilmember Funk is going. People are going to do it. So I guess the ramifications of that happening, and then I'm sure it's very difficult to project. I mean, you did have some nice numbers at the top of your presentation around what you were potentially, I think you said 60 potential is listed right now.
Like 40 are listed right now.
Yeah.
On VR.
But do we have a sense of what kind of influx? I mean, if we're talking about 65,000 across the metro needed rooms or whatever for 650,000 people or whatever. I guess I'm just curious. I mean, I know people are talking about renting out their homes, and I do think it's realistic to expect that to happen. So, I mean, we're not stopping that train, and it sounds like we have limited, right now, it's a citation for, I guess if there's unruly people throwing parties all night long, police are going to be called.
Regardless,
and police are,
yes.
regardless of changes to the UDO or not, police are going to have to respond. I don't know how responsive they're going to be. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be vagrancy across the whole community, so I don't want to misrepresent or, I do think it's a potential risk. Yes, there is a potential risk there. I don't know what percentage of risk there is for that. So I guess one of my questions to you was just, what is the license? I don't know that people know what it costs to get a license for. Do we know the answer to that?
We do.
Oh, okay.
So it's just $50 for the business license, but then we also have the transient guest tax, which is 5% of the daily stay, which is required as well. And so that we provide that info. So when someone does call us and we're able to give them a business license, not only can we give them then all the rules and regs, but we also make them aware of the tax and those other requirements.
So there's a 5% daily tax that they pay per day, 5% of whatever they're renting, the daily rate for
Yes.
for the stay. And I know we're saying June through July, but realistically, we know there's 6 games. We know the dates of those games. And we know that most likely people aren't going to be renting for the full June through July, right? We think that it'll be like before and after, like, do we have any kind of sense of that?
We do
we have any
actually.
kind of
So,
guidance?
yeah, we had a meeting this morning and folks were talking about, so the KC Metro FIFA group was, with the folks that they're working with who are engaged in this, their recommendation, their thought process was that people are probably going to start coming and start visiting second, third week of May. They don't show up the day the games start or a couple days before. Sometimes if folks come, some of them will come and want to stay a little bit longer. So I do know that Parkville, for instance, that just have a temporary relaxation of some of their rules. They're enacting theirs starting, I want to say it's like May 15th through the July 31st, just to cover those bases and to make sure that they can collect that data, that information through approving those licenses. So they did theirs to May.
So we don't have a sense of, like, we think it's going to be hot. These are the hot weeks that people are going to be trying to rent short-term rentals, or what is a short-term rental defined as? Is less than?
It's right now it's
30
anything
days.
up to the 28, 30 day mark right now, and we wouldn't change that definition or term at all. We don't anticipate and haven't heard that people typically stay for 30 days or longer. The hot times will definitely be when those games are being played that week, but there's going to be so many of those FIFA events and the festivals and things like that that people are going to want to go to as well.
So kind of going back to Councilmember Funk's question, so there's like wild parties happening, we're calling the police are coming out, they're giving the owner a citation, not the people staying there, right? Or unless the people staying there are committing crimes, then they'll cite or maybe arrest those people if they're unruly, I'm guessing, because we do have ordinances related to that. We're talking about those ordinances. So there's a citation given to the homeowner for potentially violating, we don't change the ordinance, so they're violating short-term rental ordinance. They get cited. They may get called out, so they may get up to a $500 fine and go to court costs, all that stuff related to this action, but probably not a daily, unless they're being called out daily for this. They'd have to have multiple citations, right?
Yeah, so right now, we have a great relationship with the police department, so if there is a citation or something that goes out for like a noise complaint and they find it like short-term rental or something happening, they notify us and our neighborhood services team, and then we do step 2 and see, is this a short-term rental? Are they licensed or not? Are they allowed to be licensed? If they were allowed to be licensed, then we just make sure we have a license. If they are not, if they don't have a license, but we couldn't give them one anyway, then it becomes the, you know, like a land use, you're violating the short-term rental ordinance, and guess what, you can't do it anyway, and then we write the letters and whatnot, and there's more work that goes into it.
Chair, it may be helpful to have Captain Schaefer talk a little bit about responding to noise complaints and I'll say the party house situation and what that looks like.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, there's a good party.
Rod Schaefer, Police Department. In regards to the noise ordinance, or it could also fall under, due to the fact we're in a residential area, it could be a public peace disturbance or a private peace disturbance. We fall under the 3 E's again, you know, engineering, education, and enforcement. Usually when we get these calls for service, what we'll do is we'll go out and speak with the homeowner, the person that's being affected, and say, you know, how do you wish you want to sign a complaint for noise ordinance violation, you know, disturbance of the peace. And most of the time they want us to go talk to them. Now, again, if it's an ongoing matter, then we look at other means, which is usually signing a general order complaint, so that way we can cite the individuals. Now, are we going to drag all 11 people to jail? Again, that's situational dependent. But usually once we get out and we talk to people, usually we can de-escalate the situations. Again, with this is going to be a little bit different than our normal noise ordinance violations. But again, it's going to come back to educating the homeowner, the person who's doing the short-term rentals, like, here's the facts and circumstances, this is how we're going to handle this, and then possibly hold them accountable as well if these occur. Does that answer some of the questions, or can I take any questions?
What if there's 460 of them?
Then we'll go to one call at a time, sir.
That's
I mean,
right.
the reality of it is
you guys are gonna be taxed
we
so
will
bad
be
through this.
but the reality of it is we can handle them, and we do every single night. It's just, again, we have to prioritize where we're going, and you know, if someone is acting out, we're going to send out units to handle the call. I don't believe we're going to have the frequency of that many calls. That's personal opinion. Dealing with these types, you know, the World Series and certain things, you know, the All-Star Game and things that have come to town in the past. We've had some instances. Again, this is a different animal, but the reality of it is we'll be able to handle it, and all else fails, we'll phone a friend. With that being said, we have mutual aid where we can call in additional resources to come in and assist us. Now, everybody's going to be taxed across the Metroplex, but with that being said, we're working on plans right now for our response in regards to this event coming up next year. So, yeah, 400 calls, we're going to be taxed, but the reality of it is we'll handle it, because that's what we get paid to do. That's what you have us do.
You guys have a sense of how many, like, the influx, like, normally, is there any kind of research that shows based on, you know, I'm sure FIFA has information. There's a whole committee, Metroplex, around this. You guys have people on that committee.
Well, what we've been talking about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. I was just curious, like, if you have a sense
it's
of what
going to depend a lot on
kind of spike.
who's coming to town. What we've been talking about in these meetings is depending on Brazil comes versus, you know, Middle Eastern country. It depends on who's coming to play in the town, because someone from South America, they're probably going to bring more people than someone coming over from the UK. So it's just going to depend on who the clientele is and who's coming to town. You know, we're trying to put plans in place, and we have resources that we're building right now through Mid-America Regional Council with some regional framework on how to respond to these type of events. But us to be able to forecast who and how many, no, that's a guess right now.
I mean, I just don't want to, you know, buy into doomsday kind of scenarios. People are spending thousands of dollars to come to these events. They're not vagrants or, you know, usually not crime-ridden people. So I don't want to, like, I do believe we'll probably have a spike, but I'm not sure it will be like a doomsday kind of situation.
I concur. Again, most of the people are coming to see the event, and yes, may they have, you know, a cocktail or barbecue or whatnot, you know, enjoying, you know, what we have here in Lee Summit. But the reality of it is most of them are here for the event, and, you know, there's going to be so many processes in place and other things where they can go out and participate. I don't know, and again, don't hold me to task on this, but I don't think this is going to be one of the major problems we're going to see. It will happen, but I don't think to the frequency that we're talking about right now. That's opinion. That's my opinion.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Pryor.
Thank you. Were you done?
I was going to ask a different question of Ms. Nassif. So essentially, if people don't register, which people may elect not to, even if we relax the ordinances, they still may not, they'll be like, oh, I don't want to pay the 5% tax or whatever. So they're going to do that. They may not register anyway. I like the idea that we're encouraging people to register and say, hey, it's $50, register, then we know who's renting their houses or parts of their homes for this, because it's a better way to track. Police are going to know, who's, they'll be able to access that information, I'm guessing, from a database, that there's a licensed, registered person doing short-term rentals. So we have access to the owner's information. And then potentially, the big downfall potentially is if people don't register, they don't pay the 5% or whatever, there's a potential uplift in revenue for the city around this because we're tracking it. They're going to be reporting, hey, I had X amount of days that I rented my home for and blah, blah, blah. There's additional. So I do kind of see the benefit of having the potential for, I don't think there's going to be like a massive influx of revenue around this, but there'll be a little bit of an uptick around it. So that's kind of like the benefit of why you're suggesting that we do this, because we're encouraging people to report that they may be doing their home as a short-term rental. Then we have that information.
Exactly. They're going to come and there will be more short-term rentals in Lee Summit, regardless of what we do with our ordinance. If we relax the rules a little bit, though, the benefit is we're going to be able to collect the data. We're going to be able to have an accounting and of that as well, and then be able to monitor that better and be able to have that information much better at our fingertips. One thing I wanted to mention, too, it's really great conversation and discussion about like noise and parties and such, and definitely can happen in a short-term rental. But it does almost start to blur and it becomes two almost separate different buckets. If you have a party, regardless of whether whoever's hosting that party or having that party, the police have their items in place, their regulations, their requirements in place. That's not as much necessarily a zoning matter per se all the time. I know there was mention earlier a party that happened previously. That actually is not classified as a short-term rental. That was like an event. They had an event, and that's regardless of this short-term rental, that was a side bucket item as well. So I just wanted to, it seemed like there was just kind of two resources and two just, ordinance things happening.
The noise ordinance is after 11. People,
I believe so.
isn't it? Is it
10 o'clock.
It was 10 or 11. I knew it was 10 or 11. So the other thing is, I just have a curiosity for the police. I know other municipalities, police departments have phone break systems. Do you guys have that as well?
Give me a better explanation of what that is. I apologize. I'm not sure what you're saying.
They're trying to get access to somebody. There's been a complaint at a home. Nobody's answering the door, but they have capacity to phone break into people's phones and acquire information to actually get and reach people.
I'm not aware that we have that capability. Sounds amazing. There might be a few Fourth
I was
Amendment.
pretty shocked to get called from a police from another local municipality because they broke into.
If you sign up for alerts in regards to certain things.
This was just, there was a concern for safety, and they were able to access the person's phone and start calling people in their phone. And
well, we have several systems
familiar with
within the
that kind of
city where
system.
we can
I can
send
talk
out.
to you offline about it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And if I may, I probably failed to explain this correctly. When we have special events, whether it's a city event downtown, whatever it may be, we staff for it. We lock manpower. So we're like, unfortunately, guys and gals, we're working for the next couple of weeks. So we're going to staff heavy for this. So we'll have additional manpower resources. Now, again, there's there's some vacations, there's sickness, there's always things that occur. But when we have the ability to pre-plan, not just months, but a year in advance, we're already putting things in place. And this is not just us, but in the Metroplex as well. So we're building the manpower so we have the ability to respond to whatever issue it may be. So that way we have specific plans, operational plans, command plans, everything's in place. Now, again, just like going back.
I like what you said. Bad things happen. Let's not promote something to let bad things happen.
We're just here to respond.
No, you guys are going to have your work cut out for you. I don't think us adding anything to your plate is.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so I'm kind of trying to think through some of the complaints that I've gotten about short-term rentals, and I actually, surprisingly, have not gotten any partying complaints. They're lack of maintenance in the yard, on-street parking, things like that. So with that being said, like, I feel like I would be okay with relaxing this. My actual biggest concern is companies buying houses, which I know happens everywhere. So as long as we can put something in here that maybe something like, if they want to do a short-term rental, they've had to have owned their house for 60 days prior to, I don't know if that's even legal, or something like they have to have a permanent, they maybe not have to occupy the structure, but have a permanent residence within our city. I don't know, something to prevent, which I know you guys could probably come up with something better, but something to prevent companies from coming in, which they're known for doing, buying houses, which we already have we already don't have enough single-family homes, from buying houses with the sole purpose of short-term renting them. That's what I don't want to see happen. As far as the parties go, I'm not necessarily super concerned about that. I know that, I don't know, I really like the idea of if we relax the ordinance, then there needs to be accountability. They would have to file for is it a business the license?
Business license.
That way we know exactly which houses are even doing this, and that way, I don't know. I like the idea of that sort of accountability. Otherwise, if we don't relax them, then people are going to do them regardless, but they're not going to get a business license. So I feel like that way, there's at least some sort of tracing and accountability. So I'd be for relaxing these. I personally feel like maybe this should be a conversation for the entire council. Just because it greatly affects every single district and not just the districts represented here right now, which is kind of why I feel like it probably should be a conversation for everyone. But I don't know. Well, I'm good with whatever everyone else decides.
So I have a couple things. I think first off, just to make it clear, like, I don't think we're implying that our public safety can't handle whatever comes our way. So I hope that they hear that we know they're fully capable. I have full faith in anything that comes our way or whatever we decide. So also, okay, so to go back to what you were saying, you said you gave a number or a couple numbers about currently there are some listed on it, like VRBO, you said, that we know about, and then we only have, I think you said 40 or something like that we know of on VRBO.
There's around 40. Yes.
But then there's only 20 that are licensed. So what currently, since we have that knowledge now, so how is that being handled now with the information we've got? So we know there's 20 that aren't licensed and functioning. So what does that look like?
So it's hard because the difficulty is they do not provide the specific address on those websites. So that sometimes becomes a little bit complaint driven for us. So it's always much easier on the flip side if someone's license expires and they're still doing it, or if we had the license and some other violation occurred. But without having the license, then we just don't know what the exact address is. So we randomly, you can spot check those, but like I said, they only give you a general area. They don't tell you what the exact address is until you contact the property owners themselves.
Okay.
And then without renting or having a contract with them, it just is, it's hard to enforce from that side.
Okay. Gosh. So personally, I'm more with Councilmember Funk on this, and I've been this way before we even knew World Cup was coming. So this is kind of, I don't know. I guess my point is we open up a can of worms. Yes, there's good pros and cons to both. I understand that. And you outlined it great, so I appreciate that. But I would like to think that there are some people in our city that will follow rules. I guess we're just assuming that we're going to, everybody that wants to do a short-term rental, they're just going to be like, oh, screw the city. I would like to think we have some decent people here in Lee Summit who will abide by the rules. There's always going to be the ones that don't. But I don't know. I'm leaning towards don't change anything, and the ones that are problems we'll have to deal with. I just don't think that we are able to enforce things harsh enough to prove a point to people who are going to abuse it when we just open it up for everybody. I mean, I personally don't want to see this go any further. So that's my personal thing. So I don't know.
Sherry,
what do you think?
Can I got a couple more
Yeah,
questions?
go for it.
I'm usually the one that says I don't want to repeat what my colleagues said, but I do want to repeat what Chair Hodges said. We definitely are not picking on our police department anyway. We are worried about you guys. This is going to be a big undertaking for you guys. So I don't want to lose my train of thought because I have two questions. So so the people, let's just use where we are today, the people that are licensed and they're doing this legit, and how are we collecting that tax? Is that done when they pay through Airbnb or VRBO or any of the other ones? How do we collect that 5%?
I believe so. I'm not 100% certain because it goes through our finance department. So I'm phoning a friend right now.
And
We
we're
can
going to
follow
have
up
to
with-
phone a friend on that one
Yeah.
because I'm not entirely sure, but we can get back to you on
Follow
that
up
as to
with-
what that process looks like. We were actually just discussing whether or not Airbnb or VRBO collects it on their own and then remits it as a whole, or if it's on the individual. We're just not sure right now, but we'll look into it and let you know.
So the other 20-some people that we can't figure out who they are that are listed on Airbnb, they're not paying any taxes.
Correct.
So what would encourage dropping the regulations, lowering the regulations, what would encourage someone to do this if we could never figure out who they are? We can't figure them out today. We're not going to be able to figure them out in June. I guess why would we change anything?
Well, I guess I'll take from both perspectives, if that's okay. So from the property owner's perspective, there are a lot of people out there who want to do the right thing, and they don't want to get in trouble. And so they would be, let's say for instance, like right now, you have to be 1 acre in size. Not a lot of our single-family homes are 1 acre in size. So if someone's got a single-family home and they want to rent it out a little bit now, they don't want to get in trouble. They're worried about what would happen and what the fines would be, because $500 a day per day can add up, because that certainly could be quite a lot of money. And also if they could also be worried about, well, they don't want to no longer be in good standing, or they're afraid the police will come because they don't know what our process is. So, and then people also just want to do right, or if they're worried that their neighbors might ask them if they got licensed or not, just anything like that. From our side with our neighborhood services folks, the more relaxed our rules are, the less zoning, not talking noise or police, the less zoning violations then there would be. So that would free up our resources from that perspective, from when your question of what would the benefit to us be. That would be one of the main benefits for us.
So free up your resources if we lowered these regulations. What would those resources be doing then?
So our neighborhood services team, we're going to be very, very busy. Our neighborhood services teams are going to be out and about, taking all the see-click fix complaints and all the concerns. So if there's concerns, not just from if there's short-term rentals being operated illegally, they also investigate and take care of our signs if people have they're violating our sign ordinance and sign rules, our use regulations if someone's operating a land use. We're also know that we're going to be kind of all hands on deck with answering calls, with helping people with where they need to go throughout the city, partnering with other departments when people are reaching out and if there's other violations occurring. So their derelict vehicles, they check all those now. And so we could have, more, even though temporary visitors here, definitely are anticipating more in that time frame, temporary concerns and complaints and see-click fixes from our residences that we want to be responsive to. So
I mean, I'm kind of still on the same spot with Councilmember Hodges. I think we just stop talking about this and we leave the regulations the way they are. If we feel like we need to put this in front of the full council, I mean, we can't do anything about them now. Why give them a better window of opportunity to skate through and the process that we're going to have to go through? We might as well just leave it the way it is. And it sounds like we have a stronger leg to stand on if we do have a troubled spot. I mean, there's 20 some out there clicking along right now and we can't do anything about them. We can't even find them. What's going to happen with 200 of them? Nothing. I mean, I'm thinking, I don't want this to sound like an argumental conversation. I'm thinking about, you guys are going to have bigger fish to fry than trying to change an ordinance to slip something up, because we can't collect anything from them if they do something wrong, because they're going to go back to another country. I think we should focus on, hey, let's make sure we got adequate parking. Let's make sure you're getting those different kinds of calls and not, I just think it could turn into a nightmare for neighbors, for our own citizens. If someone says, oh, well, I can go pay $50 and get a license and let people move into my house. I don't know if people understand that, but I'll stop talking. I know you're probably getting tired of that.
No, I know that's what we're supposed to be doing here. So I guess my question is, what do we need to do?
So it's up to the committee. It's up to the committee as to how you would like to move forward.
So do we need to take a vote on whether it goes to full council or not?
You could do that, but yeah, this was an item that was assigned to committee, so it's up to the committee whether this moves forward to committee. It could still be brought forward if the general consensus of the council is that they would like to have a conversation on that. That's an option. The option could be that during let's say you decided that the committee's recommendation is for it to stay the same. If that's the committee's recommendation, then there's no need to have any further ordinance on that, and that could be part of a committee update at the full council. And then if there are others on the committee, on the council that would like to have that further, then that can become a discussion at that point. Or it could move for, or like I said, or it could move for a discussion, or you could say, yes, we like these changes. I know that's not the tenor of the conversation right now, but it's an option. Or you could table it here for more conversation next month.
I feel like we beat it to death.
Chair?
Go ahead.
I can make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we leave the short-term rental regulations as they are.
Can I second? Second. All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Hodges?
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor?
Nay.
Councilmember Funk?
Aye.
Okay.
And can I clarify why I said nay really quick? Is that okay?
No.
Well, okay, so I 100% am not for short-term rentals all the time. I just don't feel, I feel like I wouldn't mind seeing it relaxed for this But I personally, like I said, so many districts are affected, and right now only 2 districts are being represented up here. So I just feel like it would be beneficial to have a conversation with every district represented. But, so that's why I said nay, but not necessarily because I'm 100% for these, for everything that was listed here, and definitely not for permanent. But I do think, I don't know, I do think that a conversation with all of council would be beneficial.
I'll explain my eye. So I probably should have done this before anyways, but I think it just came down to, for me, is that, yes, safety, but in more ways than just being like, oh, you know, it's more taxing on PD. But it's just, I think of safety in my neighborhood alone, of just like, okay, if we open that up, I don't think we have a thing in our HOA stating yes or no on short-term rentals. But I'm thinking, okay, my kids are out front playing, and we have people who come from a different world, literally. Like, it's just, and there's different values, there's different, all sorts of things that go on with that, and they may be great, but they also may not be great. And it just takes one thing, and I don't think I'm willing to risk that and put other people in jeopardy over that kind of thing too, just to make a quick buck. I think we need to think about it more than just, hey, some people can get rich for a month or so, and then we need to go back to life as it is right now. So I struggle with that, and it's a conviction, so I feel like I can't rightfully be okay with that, knowing that there's more risk than just what meets the eye. So that's for me, but okay, we can move on. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the time.
Can I have a comment?
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't obviously have a vote in this, and you know, I do think, I agree though, that having full council have a discussion on this is worthy, so that we have full representation of the city. I do believe there's probably a divergence of opinion, and that's good for the community. Like was pointed out, this is probably going to happen. I think we're talking about a very small percentage of people that may be vagrant or, you know, not follow our laws. I think most people will probably be law-abiding people. I think we're making some assumptions that there's going to be an overwhelming amount of people that are, you know, going to not be lawless. And I just don't believe people are spending thousands of dollars to come to this area. So, but I do think it's worth like a further conversation, just because we don't have everybody in the city and the community representative. And I do believe public hearings would be worthy of this conversation as well. Let's hear from the public. You know, what do they think about this? There are people that are supportive of short-term rentals. You know, I'm not saying that I'm one of those people, but I just feel like it's probably worth the air to have the conversation. So thank you for letting me say that.
Thanks. Thank you. And I think to Mr. Elam's point of just bringing it up on the update of saying here's where it is, and anybody is welcome to say, and it's happened before, say I'd like to discuss this further, and we put it on the agenda. So thank you guys for hashing that out. Appreciate it. And thank you, Ms. Nassif. I really appreciate you and all the time that you've spent on this.
I'm still not a Cardinals fan.
Okay, last item, G 2025-7095, discussion updating disorderly conduct ordinance. Mr. Rucker is back.
I specifically asked to plan it this way so that you'll all be really worn out and discussed out by the time we got to this. In July, I believe it was Councilmember Pryor and Chair Hodges that were asking about specifically problems with prowlers and drunk in public. We met, and by we, it was Chief Forbes, Major Patterson, Captain Schaefer, myself, and Abby Pinnell, your prosecutor. And we sat down and we took a look, and we tried to divide up what we considered the public harms into 3 sections. Basically, we got the classic breach of the peace, acting in a disorderly manner, being an idiot in public. The second one would be drunk in public, and the third one would be prowling. So we think when we looked at from Independence, because you all referenced Independence, section 12.01.0 for disorderly conduct is a laundry list of offenses in Independence, and we think we are already covered in your ordinances with everything there. I wanted to hit a few highlights, though. First, let's be clear about being drunk in public. It's not the being intoxicated in public that is the harm. It's acting a fool because you're intoxicated that is the harm. If Mr. and Mrs. Jones park in our structure, go to Llewellyn's, he has 3 martinis, he says, gee, honey, here are the keys, you're driving home. They walk back to the structure and get in the way. He has literally been drunk in public. We'll say he would have blown a .13, okay? But he did no harm to anybody walking over to the park and getting in his car and driving home. So what we're truly looking at is the disruptive kind of behaviors. On the prowling, we do have decent ordinances specifically related to trespass. In your packet, we included the ordinances on assault, harassment, disturbing the peace, disturbing private peace, and trespasses 1 and 2. I did want to take this opportunity to address what Councilmember Pryor brought up concerning somebody making everybody else kind of uncomfortable sitting around one person at the Starbucks. And if you look at trespass in the first degree, okay, it can be entering or remaining unlawfully on a premises where you're not licensed and privileged to do so. The ordinance goes on to say, a person who, regardless of his purpose, enters and remains on a premises at a time open to public does so with license and privilege. In other words, when you go to Starbucks, you walk in there with license and privilege to be there because Starbucks has opened its door and said, please come on in and buy our stuff. Unless, and here's the rest of the ordinance, unless he defies a lawful order not to enter or to remain that's personally been delivered. So, you go to Starbucks. We've all been through the process where you want to go meet a friend or have some conversation. And basically what we do is we go to Starbucks and we rent the table, okay? Each one of us goes up and gets a short coffee, and we rent the table and we sit there and we talk for it. Starbucks has made its table rent, okay, and we're there as business invitees. But if you've been personally communicated to, because you've been sitting there for 3 hours and done nothing, okay, literally you haven't eaten any of their food, you've done nothing, they have a right to say, sir, you really need to go on. Okay, and that is trespass in the first degree if you do not leave on request. Okay, so I think that issue is covered. In the same sense, some of the questions in terms of prowlers, people wandering around the back of your house, it is unlawful person to commit offense of trespass in the second degree by entering unlawfully under real property of another. Unlawfully is without an invitation, essentially, unless I'm a business. If I'm a business, well, you're going to hard be unlawful enter a Starbucks initially without, but if I'm a private residence, okay, and, you know, somebody wants to hop the fence and come into my backyard, that's trespass in the second degree period. And that is what you call an absolute liability defense. In other words, once those two predicate situations are, you're there, it's my private property, we're done, okay? We don't honestly think that you need to amend anything or add anything. We think our ordinances are pretty well sufficient. They're not all gathered in one small, tiny place. They are the assault ordinance. I also want to call your attention to the reach of the harassment ordinance because it was, I thought, very effective. In harassment, it's unlawful for any person to engage in any communication or other act, knowingly making unwanted communications without good cause for the purpose of frightening, intimidating, causing emotional distress, or that such communication causes that person to be frightened or intimidated, okay? And such person's response with the communications is one of a person of average sensibilities, considering their age. We are back to what the law is so commonly we refer to as, it's the reasonable person, okay? Negligence is the breach of duty of care set by a reasonable person of ordinary care and prudence under the same and similar circumstances. I got that drilled into me 5 decades ago. I think your ordinances are sufficient. If there are specific fact situations that may not fit these ordinances, I haven't heard them. And nobody in the meeting with Captain Schaefer, none of us had heard any of those. That doesn't mean there aren't ones out there. Your ordinances can be changed. Your ordinances can be amended. When we reach a point we think we have something that we can't address appropriately, we can do so. I would only add that a lot of your discussion that we just had concerning the short-term rental issues, went to these kinds of civic harms. And I think your ordinances are sufficient to address people who are acting up when they rent the house and they have the, the classic frat boy party, okay? Down in Osage Beach where I used to work, our classic problem was that, fraternities would show up and they'd rent the house and they'd pile 20 guys in there. And yes, they would be nasty for the whole weekend and the neighbors would be upset. And 5-0 would have to run multiple calls and somebody's going to jail. Ordinances don't prevent that behavior. They may be able to address it. They may be able to squash it. They cannot effectively prevent it. The only thing that prevents that kind of behavior is a little empathy with your neighbor. So the report is, we did sit down, we looked at this, we think you are covered completely. And we have not heard from any police officer a set of facts where he thinks it's not there. And the police officers know that there are two places they can go when they look at that set of facts and they're not sure what to do. One is you run it up the chain of command. Two is you go to your prosecutor and you say, hey, can I figure out how to do this? And, that's what the lawyers are there for. You guys have any questions?
That was very well said, and I appreciate you guys looking into it to be like, okay, is there anything we're missing? It's nice to know you haven't come across anything that needs to be adjusted. So I appreciate you investigating that with
we think
Captain
you're
Schaefer.
covered.
Okay.
The five of us will be knocking me off my chair surprised if an officer comes up with a set of facts that we can't handle.
Good, that's a good thing. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to roundtable. Anybody have roundtable? Go ahead.
So, can we discuss the ordinance against, I don't know if anything covers anything against the different websites that you can rent your pool out, but that's just asking for maybe not great parties. I don't know, and a lot of neighborhood complaints. So is there anything that we currently have in any sort of ordinance that covers something like that? It seems like it's getting a lot more popular. Or is that something we just probably, I don't know.
Good evening. Tracy Albers with Development Services. It's not explicitly stated in the short-term rental provisions that pool parties are an extension of short-term rentals, but pools and pool houses are categorized as accessory structures in our code, and short-term rentals are not allowed to take place in accessory structures. So even though the duration of the rental may be less than overnight or 24 hours, it may be for 2 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, we're still at present relying upon that prohibition for accessory structures to initiate code enforcement on the specific property that's come up here and been presented to staff these past couple days.
Okay, and that's fine, that is enough to allow you guys to be able to.
All right, staff roundtable.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick preview of next month as well. With our meeting last month, we had the overview of the World Cup discussion and the decisions that we were thinking about and the matrix that we went over with the different areas. This month, we brought forward a portion of those that have been taken further to that ordinance level. In September, we're going to continue that trend and have more ordinances that are related to the World Cup items, as well as some of the conversations that and some of the items that have been assigned to CEDC for further discussion. So just wanted to let everybody know that we're still on a path and we're still working through each different item as well. Through there. And then I think I've seen a lot of you every night this week, but I'll just mention it again, Green Street is opening this weekend and hope to see everybody there this weekend.
Perfect. All right, thank you. So let's see, 5:41, meeting is adjourned.